Alright, this is Travis Wayne Goodsell. We're getting close to the Power Hour night. I'm referring to Rachel Maddow's show at 7. She's the only person that does real news. None of the other NBC guys or girls or Fox, definitely not. Only when there's breaking news do they actually give news. And then once the news is reported, then everybody goes right back to their opinions and abuses and speculations and predictions and forecasting news in order to be the first one to be the one to break the news. So I'll work on the comments right now. Okay. LDS Mormon Dream Interpretation 101 now available. Sorry. I have started to go running again now that the snow has melted, but it's going to take some time. So bear with me. I'll try not to cough as much as possible, but can't be helped when I can't breathe. Okay, MD is excited about my putting the Dream Interpretation book for Mormons online. This was back in 2016 when I still had hope that the church was true. And so that's now available on my website in a digital PDF form, and it's free. I don't charge for much. I'm not really into money making, despite my name. Yeah, everybody said I should go into sales. That was the one thing I didn't want to do. I didn't like the idea of selling something to somebody that they didn't want to buy. And I didn't like working for salesmen that were ordering me to manipulate the customer in order to get a sale. I did the Majestic vacuum cleaner. Great vacuum cleaner. It's like a shop vac, but just a more advanced. It even had a air purifier in it, so you can just stick it in the middle of a room, purifies the air, and awesome. The only problem was that the guy that was in control of hiring salesmen for the Lethbridge area was a druggie and a sexist and racist, and so yeah. And then I've done I called people on the phone trying to sell meat. Telemarketer. Oh man. What a nightmare of a job that was. I mean, it was easy, all you do is call, but did not like that one bit. And then I got a job working for Mr. Sub. That's up in Canada again. Most of my sales jobs were up in Canada because I was not a legal citizen. I was up there going to school, and so I had to be paid in cash for much of my work, or check directly to me. And so yeah, when I was in the manager trainee program at McDonald's, and it was time for me to go to British Columbia for the big managers conference. Yeah, they realized, hey, you don't have citizenship, you're fired. So that was kind of devastating. I just had our second child, and man, so, but they were selling pizzas up there in Canada, in the Canada McDonald's. But yeah, the employees did not like me at all. I was a manager in training. I did not rise up from the lower ranks, and so yeah, the employees didn't care at all for me, and made my life hell. As someone who didn't know the job, who was being trained on how to do the job, and then they transferred me to an outskirts McDonald's where they left me alone, untrained, with a crew that hated my guts because I was taking their job, they thought. They wanted an opportunity to apply for the job. And so, yeah, they screwed me over. I mean, the burger flipper, whoever makes the burger guy, whatever he was doing, whatever he's called, I couldn't believe it. He, on his own, made up a whole batch of lunch items, just tons, just packed it on there, and said that, oh, I'm anticipating a rush. This early in the morning? Sure enough, an hour before rush hour, and he's bringing all this food to me saying, oh, it's expired now according to the policies. We have no choice but to throw this away now. And I was just going, oh man. Again, untrained. They left me alone with them, and they didn't like me because I was taking their job. And if they'd only known I was American, oh man, I would have, they would have lynched me. So, you might think Canadians are polite. No. No. That's just a joke. That's their outward appearance in public settings. But once you get to know them, oh man, they are condescending SOBs. So, yeah, and I was married to one. That's why I was up there. Okay, so, oh man. Okay, so it looks like MD is having a hectic day. I hope your day turned out better for you. Oh, not until the weekend. Okay. And still hasn't gone to the website. Okay. You can listen to my audiobooks. Oh, I guess, wow, you actually paid for it? Huh. Interesting. Okay. Alright. Okay. Alright. Okay. MD again on my polygamy part 2, and she's all excited to be the first viewer. Not too many people are interested in these Joseph Smith is not a polygamist video. You'd think Mormons would, but I guess I sort of put in LDS Mormon Church lies. And so the Mormon members are like, hey, we're not sure what to think about this. So, yeah, I guess everybody's staying away because they don't want to learn the truth. Because, yeah, I mean, Joseph Smith, his reputation is destroyed. You know, despite Joseph Smith saying your name will be had for good and evil on the earth. No kidding, even within the church. Alrighty. So, LDS Mormon Church covering up imminent collapse. So now Colin Peterson is mocking MD and saying, first comment. Oh, man. And I guess there's competition to see who can watch my videos first. You guys make me laugh. MD. Hey Travis, you mentioned me at the tail end of this video. I'm just sending another quick reply in response to that. I have a list going of questions. Wow. Okay. Are you going to ask them, or are you going to wait until the website? Get your site and contact you. Okay. Alrighty. So it looks like I'm going to be busy this weekend. Alrighty. I just haven't gotten to it yet. In addition to full-time job, single mom, and so yeah, not getting much help. Although when Stephanie and I were in Rexburg, going to Rick's to finish my associates, and taking care of my grandmother, who was starting to enter Alzheimer's, as we learned later on. My grandpa had died, and right before we got married, actually, and so then she took me up to Canada and did some work up there on the farms and as a firefighter, and some other jobs. And then I came back down to Rick's to finish. And so, yeah, little Liz was just a baby, and was off of the breast for the most part, and was starting on milk. And Stephanie was giving her whole milk, and Melissa wasn't holding it down, and so she came to me for answers as the priesthood leader in the home, and I said, well, what type of milk are you giving her? Whole milk. Well, have you tried 1% or skim? And sure enough, that solved the problem. All right. 3. I hope he didn't leave you. I hope he died saving our country or being a hero. 3 kids? Oh, man. Well, yeah, you got 1 in high school, and the 2 others probably in junior high. Man. I had no problem taking care of Clayton and Melissa when Stephanie ordered that I come home straight from school rather than doing homework at the institute and taking institute classes. And then she would be all dressed up with makeup as if she were going to church, but then not getting home until late after midnight. And it got later as she realized I was staying up. And so it was rough on the kids also. Where's mommy? When's mommy coming home? And then they eventually got numb to it and realized mom didn't care about them. And then mom took them away from me and took them to Canada, because the laws of Utah and the nation don't give a damn about a parent's rights to their kids when another parent's involved. That was Anywho, so right away you can recognize where people get their mannerisms, the way they write, the way they speak, the way they behave. It all comes from somewhere. And as little infants, we learn to imitate adult behavior, particularly parents, if we're lucky enough to have two parents. And that's how kids learn, is through imitation. And so yeah, when they start to speak, and they get excited about animals, and they imitate animals. So, and all sorts of fun stuff. It was easy taking care of Melissa and Clayton when their mom was away. You know, it was the evening time, so the day stuff was done. So I was stuck with Clayton's regular daily 3 o'clock diaper changing. The one thing I didn't like. And she stuck me with it. You know, it was amazing. She wanted me to divorce her so that she could be the martyred wife, the martyred spouse. Oh, he left me. I was so good to him. I gave him 3 kids, and this is how he treated me. So no, I didn't divorce her. She had to leave. And then after a year of leaving, then she got a divorce up there. Because Canada's ways are different, I guess. So, alright. You guys really are cool when you're not attacking me. Of course, MD has been a favorite the whole time. El Stevo. Okay. I remember you from a previous one, but I don't remember what it was about. Inactive membership and resigned membership, 2 different points. Yeah. The church will still count an inactive member. Yes, don't tell me the obvious. If a member wants out, you must resign. Yeah, you're missing the point. And if you trust the church and it's counting. I don't. That's the whole point. See, the church lost 200,000 last April for 2017. 200,000, which means all of the convert baptisms and the child baptisms were not enough to overcome the amount that left the church, had actually signed out, saying, we want out, get us out of here. And so that's different than what I was talking about with the 13 million who just want out. They just left. Because that's what they do in here in Utah. In the older singles ward, I saw this. If they just didn't like the teacher, if they didn't like the bishop, they just didn't go. They would hang out in the halls, they would go home. Maybe if they didn't like the Relief Society president either, or the Elders Quorum president, depending on who they were. That's what Mormons are. They're silent. You can't get a word out of them. There's only a few select people in every class that always want to hog all the talking. But for the most part, most Mormons, they remain silent. They just sit there like lumps on a log. And it's tough being a teacher in the church to get interaction. I guess it's because they're conditioned to lecturing. That's the only thing I can figure. But yeah, it's, and if they man, so yeah, we had when I first got here, our membership clerk was turning inactive. I was called to be in the ward missionaries. I'm a ward missionary, and so when they first got going, they had me looking for members who weren't showing up to church. 300 in our ward alone. 300 during Reed Hammond's 8-year tenure. 8.5 is what it ended up being. And 300, or is it 5 years? Because it had been 3 years with people that had moved out. The people that had moved out were saying, oh yeah, they haven't been here for 3 years. I've been here for 3 years, and that type of thing. And so it was all under Reed Hammond, and met several people who said, is Reed Hammond still a bishop? Yeah, I'm sure I'll get there someday. Nah. No, they did not like this bishop. And I would hear war stories, you know, a person dies, and so the Relief Society president at the time goes to the bishop and say, hey, my neighbor lost her husband, and he's dead. Can we do anything to help? They're Catholic, but can we do anything to help? No, they're Catholic. And then, of course, you've heard me talk about the 2 apartments for those who have been diagnosed with mental illness. They get no assistance from the church. Even those that are active members that want to be active, it's difficult for the Crossroads apartment to get to church because it's a longer distance away. And of course, nobody wants to give them a ride. And so, yeah, they're just neglected. Nobody cares. At least Bishop Hammond didn't. And it looks like Bishop Cummins, the replacement, he's not doing much better either. He's just towing the party line. And that's a shame, because his kids are cool. And I thought he was cool. But I sort of recognized in him patterns of lack of interest. And then his wife, she got up at, was it in the stake conference, or was it in our church, where she gave a talk about how she wanted to give up. So that was heart-wrenching on that. But yeah, great kids. Cool little boy who's now, it's been, well, he's definitely going to school by now. So, yeah. And then who knows, maybe even Grace is now married. But, oh well. You know, it's sad. You spend all this time investing in people, and they just, you find out they don't care. So, but yeah, El Stevo, I obviously understand you didn't go to my stats video apparently, but yeah, if the church does not get attendance in sacrament meeting, they don't get money. The budget for the wards are determined on sacrament meeting attendance, and so if you've got inactive, which you're not supposed to call them inactive anymore, El Stevo, remember, they're less active. I think it was Ballard, or yeah, I think it was Ballard who gave that order to the Mormons when he had no authority to give orders. You know, only the president of the church can give commandments and revelations to the church. None of the apostles are to be listened to when they give commandments and revelations to the church. They're supposed to quote the presidents of the church's commandments and revelations and bear testimony of that truthfulness. So that's being violated. And sure enough, you now have to sustain. What is that? I guess that's the speaker, isn't it? Huh. I thought it was a dirt. All right. Okay, it's after 6. Yeah, and if you saw my other videos, El Stevo, you would know I'm purposely not signing my resignation from the church because I want to laugh each and every single time the conference comes around and they announce the membership numbers, but they're not doing that anymore as of last year. And so, yeah, it doesn't matter. It'll be on the records anyway, as they claim that I'm still a member. And according to the Doctrine and Covenants, Section 121 Mormons, you need to stay away from me and not harass and abuse and criticize and get angry and attack me and threaten me and put thumbs down, because you're not supposed to go against the Lord's anointed. Do you know what that means? It's not just referring to church leaders. It's referring to anybody who's been through the temple. That's the Lord's anointed. Remember the washing and anointings? Once we get anointed in the temple, we're now the Lord's anointed. So you need to behave. More confusion to Mormons now. What? What? I'm sure they all get built, El Stevo. He's now asking in another comment, how many announced temples actually get built? I mean, are you trying to prove something to me? Because these temples are getting built. They've got the money. Like I said, they've received $32 billion through their LLC companies. If it costs $40 million to build a temple, because that's what I figured in the stats video, I think, or was it a subsequent video to it? But $40 million, and even a commenter commented on that. 40 million is approximate, because you have to have a certain number of members who pay tithing to justify a building of a temple. And so it's around 40 billion for a temple, according to the estimated stats that the church was following. But with a loss of members, you know, yeah, doing other things with the money and reallocating. And so how many, if 40 billion, we'll round it up to instead of 32 billion, how many $40 million temples can you get for $40 billion? So you see what I mean? They can build the temples. That's not the problem. The problem's going to come when they need to continually pay for the upkeep and maintenance of the temples without enough tithing money to do that. They're going to have to continue to get it from the LLC companies, which are laundered money, in order to justify it. But the thing is that when you're dealing with real estate, the temples are considered like a car that actually appreciates in value. Whereas when you guys normally buy a car, it automatically depreciates once you sign it as yours and pay them the money. It instantly tanks. It's now used. And but when you get a fancy car that's $100,000 and you put extra stuff in it to make it more valuable. Yeah, that's what housing is in real estate. So like my parents, for example, when we were living in Placentia, my parents got solar panels, and it was great. My parents were getting money back from the electric company because the solar panels were putting in more than we were using from the electric company. And so my parents were getting paid to have solar panels. And so it was great back then. And that was right at the time when computers started, but it was still effective back then. Nowadays we have all sorts of devices that need electronic outlets. But yeah, back then it was great. And so when my parents went to sell the house, they were able to get more money for the house because of the solar panels. And so yeah, they didn't take them with us to the Corona house, but with the Corona house, my parents enhanced that in order to get more money when they sold it by they built an extra room above the dining room for me, and then they built a jacuzzi and a swimming pool, and the jacuzzi was right outside my window, but both the jacuzzi and the swimming pool were built while I was on my mission in New York, so I didn't get to take advantage of any of it. And so, yeah, that wasn't too cool. Yay, our oldest son is gone. Let's get a jacuzzi and a pool. And of course they did fruit trees. They had to replant them because the dog my dad bought chewed them off. And then yeah, he was a dog beater, and so the dog did not like that. And so the first opportunity the dog got, he fled past the gate when it was left open, and never seen or heard of again. And so, I mean, he had a pasture right there with the cows off to the one side, and now that's a subdivision I saw on Google Maps. So, oh, Adam Schiff, guy in charge of tomorrow's testimony of Michael Cohen. Alrighty, so yeah, memories on the corner of my mind. And of course that reminds me of the episode of Magnum P.I. where Tom Selleck, in his role as Magnum P.I., loses a bet or something and has to sing that song, Memories. And then of course there's the Tom Hanks movie Big, where he calls his mom, and she wants to know if his son is still alive, and demands that he give proof, and wants to know his favorite song, and so then he has to sing it as an adult to his mother, who's grieving over the loss of her son. Memories on the corner of my mind. Which is a really disturbing movie when you step back and realize, hey, wait a minute, that older woman did it with that little 10-year-old boy. Ugh. So yeah, and then now you hear all about these female school teachers who are doing it with their students. There we go. There we go. I knew Dave Watson was going to blow it and need to be banned. And praise Keck. He needs to be banned. That is, oh man, that is abusive, guys. What did I tell you? When you confront Mormons about their being abusive, they don't say, "Oh, sorry, sorry." Instead, you know, I should report this, but we're just gonna hide them. And then, bye-bye, Dave. Dude, this came from the guy who commented, and I went over it in the video. We all learned together what it means. And so now people are deniers. And so, yeah, like in the other video, I think this morning, I was pointing out there are a number of different secret combinations, as the Book of Mormon calls them, within the church right now. The Nazi skinheads are just one of them. The Desnat group, and the Mormon Mafia, and the Nazis, and man. We even have skinheads here in Utah. They're on the lower east side, or upper east side, northern east side. They're in Salt Lake City area. And, you know those guys came from Mormon households. All of the gang members, even the Polynesian gangs. What's going on? Okay. Everybody's in a gang here in Utah. And like I told you about my neighborhood, when nobody was going to the meetings anymore, and I wasn't getting any assistance with the neighborhood watch patrols, and my schedule of sleeping was changed. That was the end of the neighborhood watch, and it created a vacuum because I had cleaned out the neighborhood. The mayor, Ron Bigelow, was all happy and was always excited and glad to see me because he knew I had cleaned up his neighborhood. He lives here too. And then everybody gave up and nobody wanted to help, and my schedule changed. And as a result, the vacuum was created, and everybody, the gangs on all four sides, merged together. And in fact, one of the gangs, I saw them marking up the wall here on 47th, and I went to the bank either that day or the next day, because I ran that morning, and I'm looking out the bank window to the wall across the street, and there was the same thing. It had a different autograph to it, but it was the same pattern. And I'm going, what? They're down here too? And so that's how bad a vacuum causes here in Utah. You get everybody finding out about it, and everybody everywhere crashes in to take possession and ownership of the property. They don't do the shoes over the telephone wires as they did in New York. Here they do tagging. And of course we had that gang trial here where the gang member was being exposed of what their tactics were, about how they get new recruits in, and they get the new recruits to do the tagging as part of an initiation, a pre-initiation. Then initiations escalate as they want to rise up in rank. And the gang member was furious in the courtroom and jumped over the table to go attack the witness who was revealing the secrets of the gang, and he got shot and killed because they don't tolerate that in the courtroom here in Utah. And then the parents, I guess, tried to sue the court or Utah for shooting their boy. What a mess. But yeah, Curtis Allgaier, that's his name, the cop killer. I did time with him in the Salt Lake County Jail when I was at the beginning of my 6-year incarceration without a trial, because they don't want you to go to trial and be found innocent in Utah. And so, of course, they do all sorts of illegal, unconstitutional tactics to lock you away from society, or get you to plead guilty if you're not like me, exposing the government corruption here in Utah. And so, yeah, yep, Curtis Allgaier. I wonder if I should put his picture on here. I heard he got married to a girl who started writing him while he was in jail. But yeah, I got a lot of jail experience stories to tell you guys. Man. And so I don't know about Easy. He was in there for being accused, because he never went to trial while I was there, and he got dropped to medium security after going to high security with me. Although I think he went first, and then I followed. Or did he come after? Can't remember. But he got dropped to medium, whereas I got dropped all the way to the general population because I was being shipped out to a new incarceration place for 6 years of my life. Yeah, if Easy's out, because I'm not sure if it was a first-time offense, he probably is out by now. Yeah, he was accused of bringing a gun, and I think he used it, because the Easy told me that the night worker at the convenience store that he was trying to rob pulled a gun on him. And so that was Easy's justification, is that, you know, if he had just not tried to shoot me, I wouldn't have shot him. But yeah, Easy and I were right next to each other in different cells, and got a lot of stories about that too. So yeah, and Brian David Mitchell, can't leave him out of the picture, and he was there with us too, before he is now in prison now, because his situation, we're on 43 minutes, so I can waste a little more time here. See, Brian David Mitchell, according to the state, they knew how to get rid of people from society. And so they did the same tactic that they did to me. They put him in the Utah State Hospital, claiming that, oh, he's mentally ill and blah, blah, blah. He's not mentally ill. He just hates authority. He wants to do what he wants to do. And so that's why he calls himself a Messiah, is because he can then have freedom of religion and do whatever he wants. And if it's raping little girls and getting them pregnant and kidnapping them, that's his right, religious right. And so, yeah, you can't use religion to cover up crime, Mormons. So that's his story. With what Utah did to him to remove him from society. But because the Smarts have direct connections with Orrin Hatch, who was in the Senate and third in line to be the president at one time until he quit this year and allowed Romney to be in. And I wrote Romney tonight and said, I request that you vote in favor against the national emergency tomorrow. So I doubt he'll read it in time. I doubt that the people in charge of his emails will pass it on to him in time. But at least I did my civic duty. as a constituent. But because the Smarts knew Hatch, and Hatch was a big proponent of finding Elizabeth Smart and making sure the resources got taken care of for him. When the Smarts realized that he was never going to be set free, that he was going to be there for life, like Wanda Barzee was going to be, the feds then took over, and I'm sure Orrin Hatch had a big part in making sure that happened. And so the feds took over the case, and so it's not double jeopardy in that case. And so they did their own mental evaluation, and lo and behold, what do you know? He's competent. And so, yeah, they made sure to put him away in prison for life. And so, no paradise in the mental hospital. It's not paradise, guys, trust me. I'm sure prison would have been much better, but I don't know. I only know jail, which was hell in and of itself, and then the state hospital, which is hell. You think you get it nice because you got carpeted floors rather than cement, and you get a bed with blankets, but no, you have people who are abusing you on a regular basis and denying you things. And so, but yeah, I've got lots of stories to tell about that experience too. Man, so yeah, that's how it works. If you're a bad enough person, they take you to the federal court. And that's what they had lined up for me. The feds had a number for me in case somebody complained. We don't want Travis in the hospital. He's having a life of luxury there. But that was an option they've always held over me, and it's still held over me. So screw them. I wanted my kids back, and they refused to help. So I exposed them. So I'm not going to cower in silence, bow to their authority. You know, it's bad enough with the people who own this apartment, who think that they can control my life and turn this place into a prison, because that's what they were trying to do. And I need to do a video about that too, about how Utah treats. So, but then to have the police come and join with them in threatening me, yeah. So, but interestingly enough, they seem to be staying away. I'm not quite sure if it's just because they're on their vacation days or what, but yeah, we definitely got rid of the one guy who they planned on keeping on here on a regular basis. So he's gone. So yeah, my complaints did have an effect, but I don't know if it's just to keep me quiet and pacified until they strike again in the future like they've done before. So we'll see. They don't get it, you know. I'm a free man now. I am not held beholden to any court. And yeah, just pure evil in this land. Alrighty, so we're 30 minutes before, oh wow, they're interviewing the Trump accuser of late. Oh. Huh. Yeah, so that's interesting. Because I always wondered, if Trump is a racist, it would, and there's evidence of that, because when he was given his first job from his daddy to manage an apartment building for the family, Trump had to go to, he was challenged in the courts on at least 3 occasions, and was fined or cited or whatever they do for having discriminated against blacks renting from his apartments, because they send in undercover people to test that theory, and sure enough, they were being banned. And yeah, so Trump is a known racist, and Cohen, apparently everybody's waiting for him to reveal that tomorrow too. You know, we don't need him to reveal it. We already know. You know, when he said "asshole countries," and I told Mia Love in my contact to her, you need to stand up to this president. And instead she didn't, and then she lost in her midterms, and then Trump trashed her again for losing, and yeah, so I gave her a final goodbye. You did not listen to your constituents, and so I put out the word to have people not vote for you. So again, she was a Republican, and they don't support their own. So she learned the hard way that the Republican Party was not for her. It's the wrong party to belong to in history. So I don't know what she's doing now, but I'm sure she's got a lot of lobbyist money that she can live on the rest for the rest of her life. Alrighty. So yeah, I'll put Curtis Allgaier on here. Or maybe a neighborhood watch sign. Alright, well, I'll think of something. I gotta figure out a title for this video too. And I probably can't come up with anything clever and will attract people's recommended views. So only the ones who actually like listening to my videos are the ones who are going to make it this far anyway. So, alrighty. Alrighty, so that's it. We're done with the comments.